Cold War, a struggle between the United States and the Soviet Union that shaped the entire 20th century. It was a war without direct battles, yet it brought the world closer to nuclear destruction than ever before. It created alliances, divided nations, and still echoes in today's global politics. But how did it start? Why did it last for nearly half a century? And what lessons does it hold for us today? Let's uncover the story of the Cold War. The tension was more than just politics. It was about fear, ideology, and the survival of humanity. Every nation, from the smallest island to the largest empire, felt its ripple effects. The Cold War was born from the ashes of World War II. The Allies had defeated Nazi Germany, but instead of unity, mistrust grew. The US emerged as a capitalist superpower, while the Soviet Union pushed its communist ideology across Eastern Europe. Winston Churchill famously declared that an iron curtain had descended across the continent. The stage was set for decades of rivalry, not through open warfare, but through politics, propaganda, and power struggles across the globe. This wasn't just about who controlled Europe. It was about who would shape the entire future of the world. Would it be democracy and markets, or communism and centralized power? That ideological clash lit the spark for nearly 50 years of tension. If the Cold War had a heartbeat, it was the nuclear arms race. Both Washington and Moscow raced to build bigger, deadlier weapons. The US dropped atomic bombs in 1945, but soon after, the Soviets tested their own. By the 1960s, the world had enough nuclear weapons to destroy itself several times over. This led to a terrifying concept: mutually assured destruction, or MAD. Ironically, this balance of terror may have prevented a direct war, but it left humanity living under constant fear of annihilation. The race wasn't just about weapons. It also pushed science and technology forward. From nuclear submarines to the space race, both superpowers used innovation to show off their dominance. But every rocket launch and missile test reminded people of just how close the world was to destruction. Although the superpowers never fought directly, their rivalry played out in proxy wars. In Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan, and beyond, millions suffered as the Cold War turned local conflicts into global battlegrounds. Perhaps the most dangerous moment came in 1962 during the Cuban Missile Crisis, when the world stood just one step away from nuclear war. For 13 tense days, humanity held its breath as the US and Soviet Union negotiated the fate of the planet. Each of these conflicts showed how fragile peace really was. Small countries became pawns in a global chess match, where ideology mattered more than human lives. For many, the Cold War wasn't cold at all. It was bloody, devastating, and real. The Cold War wasn't just about governments. It shaped the lives of ordinary people. In the West, fear of communism fueled anti-Soviet propaganda, while in the East, censorship and surveillance controlled daily life. The Berlin Wall became the ultimate symbol of this divide. Families separated, dreams cut in half, and an entire city trapped between two worlds. Despite the hardship, people on both sides never gave up hope for freedom and unity. It wasn't only about politics, it was personal. Children grew up with bomb drills in schools. Families were told to build fallout shelters. And artists, filmmakers, and musicians turned their work into powerful symbols of protest and survival. By the 1980s, cracks were appearing. The Soviet economy was struggling. Reform movements were rising, and leaders like Mikhail Gorbachev introduced policies of glasnost and perestroika. Meanwhile, U.S. President Ronald Reagan ramped up military spending, putting pressure on Moscow. In 1989, the Berlin Wall fell, and just 2 years later, the Soviet Union dissolved. The Cold War had ended, not with a bang, but with a dramatic collapse that reshaped the world order. But the fall of the USSR wasn't just a political event. It was emotional. For millions, it was the end of an era, the end of fear, but also the beginning of uncertainty. Suddenly, the world had only one superpower, and a new question emerged. What comes next? The Cold War may be over, but its shadows remain. NATO still exists, Russia still challenges the West, and nuclear weapons continue to threaten global security. Many argue that today's tensions between the US, Russia, and even China resemble a Cold War 2.0. The story of the Cold War reminds us that ideology, fear, and mistrust can divide the world, but it also shows that diplomacy and dialogue can prevent disaster. We still live in a world designed by the Cold War, from the borders of Europe to the arms treaties to the political rivalries shaping today's headlines. The lesson is clear. History doesn't disappear, it evolves. And the choices made today could spark the next great conflict or prevent it. The Cold War was more than just a political struggle. It was a global standoff that defined generations. It shaped borders, technology, and even the way we think about peace and war. And while the world avoided nuclear catastrophe, the lessons remain urgent today. Will history repeat itself, or can we build a future free of such divides? That's the question only time can answer. If you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more documentaries on the conflicts, leaders, and nations that shaped our world.